You're looking at the Fairchild Republic A-10 Thunderbolt II, the jet the world knows simply as the A-10 Warthog. It was built for one job above all others: protect soldiers on the ground and tear through enemy armor. This aircraft is America's ultimate tank killer, a flying shield that can soak up damage, keep flying at low altitude, and still hit like a hammer. At first glance, it looks odd and almost ungainly, but behind that awkward shape is one of the most effective close air support designs ever put into combat. For this film, we've recreated the A-10C variant in meticulous detail so we can take you through the jet inside and out. From its twin engines perched high on the fuselage to the massive 30mm GAU-8 cannon, the Warthog was engineered around the idea of surviving, returning, and firing again. In this episode, we focus on the modernized A-10C, the version that concentrates decades of upgrades into one aircraft: advanced sensors, smarter weapons, and refined close air support technology. My name is Marcus Reed, and this is Iron Blueprint. The A-10's entire airframe was engineered around a single idea: stay in the fight even after being hit. The aircraft measures 53 feet 4 inches in length and stands 14 feet 8 inches tall. Its wings stretch 57 feet 6 inches, creating a wide, stable platform built to fly low, slow, and deliberately. Despite weighing just under 25,000 pounds empty, the A-10 can take off at almost 50,000 pounds, carrying nearly its own weight in fuel and weapons. About 95% of the fuselage is built from corrosion-resistant aluminum alloys, with flat interchangeable armored panels instead of fragile composite curves. The fuselage is divided into 3 major sections: the cannon bay, the fuel section, and the APU mounted at the rear. But the wings are what truly make the Warthog unmistakable, a 3-spar structure built for strength, not speed. The outer wing panels angle upward at 7 degrees, improving stability during low-speed, low-altitude flight. At the tips sit the distinctive Herner wingtips drooped downward to cut drag and improve maneuverability near the ground. Inside the wings are fuel tanks, honeycomb structures, and layers designed for damage tolerance, not sleek aerodynamics. Even with large sections missing, the A-10 has returned home in real combat. Its wing configuration gives the aircraft impressive STOL capability, able to get airborne in just 4,000 feet, even when fully loaded. Where most fighters sweep their wings for speed, the A-10 does the opposite: straight wings, low stall speed, and high lift. Everything about this aircraft is tuned for one purpose: stay close to the fight, no matter what it takes. If the wings keep the A-10 inches the sky, then the control surfaces give it the agility that ground troops depend on. Unlike fast jets built for high-altitude maneuvers, the A-10's flight surfaces are oversized, reinforced, and engineered for low-speed, low-altitude combat. The first thing you notice are the massive ailerons stretching across nearly half the wingspan. Most fighters have small ailerons because speed gives them lift, but the A-10 fights close to the ground, where slow speed requires instant roll authority. Flying just a few hundred feet above friendly forces, the pilot needs immediate response, and these huge ailerons deliver exactly that. The designers took it further. The ailerons are split. They can open upward and downward like giant air brakes. In this configuration, they become decelerons, letting the pilot bleed speed quickly during approaches or tight combat turns. Inside the wings are single-slotted Fowler flaps along the inner trailing edges, with multiple hydraulic settings to increase lift during slow, tight maneuvering. Even if one flap is completely destroyed, the A-10 can still fly and land safely, one of many survivability features built into its design. The flight system uses 2 independent hydraulic circuits, routed through reinforced channels to survive hits from anti-aircraft fire. And if hydraulics fail, the Warthog keeps flying. It automatically switches into manual reversion mode controlled by muscle power alone. In manual mode, pitch and yaw are assisted, roll becomes manual, and while the aircraft feels heavier, it stays fully controllable. There are real combat stories of 8 seconds returning with minimal controls left, proving the resilience of the design. At the tail, the A-10 features twin vertical stabilizers mounted high and spread wide. Both the elevators and rudders use lightweight honeycomb composites, strong, damage-tolerant, and easy to replace. Every part of the tail is interchangeable. Left and right components can be swapped in the field for faster repairs. The A-10's control surfaces weren't built for elegance. They were built to stay controllable under the worst conditions: damage, low altitude, bad weather, and incoming fire. And over decades of combat, they've done exactly that. The A-10's engines look unusual at first glance, mounted high, spaced apart, and angled upward. But every part of this design was chosen for a battlefield where survival matters more than speed. Powering the Warthog are two General Electric TF34GE100 turbofan engines, each producing 9,065 pounds of thrust. These engines were chosen for high thrust at low speeds, excellent fuel efficiency, and outstanding durability. Mounted high on the fuselage, they stay far from ground debris, crucial during takeoff on damaged or improvised runways. Their upward angled exhaust reduces heat exposure from below, making it harder for heat-seeking missiles to lock on. And by separating them into two distinct nacelles, the chance of one hit disabling both engines is drastically reduced. Each engine is built for battlefield maintenance and breaks into 5 major modules for fast replacement. The front fan uses titanium blades that can be removed individually through maintenance ports, no full disassembly needed. Behind the fan sits a 14-stage axial compressor with automatically adjusting stator vanes to optimize airflow. Inside the annular combustion chamber, fuel and compressed air ignite in a controlled burn that powers the turbines. From idle to maximum thrust, the TF-34 can spool up in 10 seconds, critical for dodging incoming fire. The A-10 carries 1,644 gallons of internal fuel, stored near the aircraft's center of gravity to maintain stability. Fuel is stored in 4 main tanks, 622 gallons in the wings and 1,022 gallons in the fuselage. Self-sealing materials protect the fuel lines. If hit, the system limits leaks automatically to prevent fire. Check valves isolate damaged tanks so fuel cannot drain backward into ruptured sections. And even if all 4 main tanks are compromised, 2 self-sealing sump tanks remain holding enough fuel for about 230 miles. It's not comfortable, but it can save the aircraft, the pilot, and the mission. Nothing in the A-10's fuel and engine system is elegant or wasted. Every feature exists for one purpose: bringing the Warthog home, even when everything else is falling apart. If there is one weapon that defines the A-10 Warthog, it is the GAU-8 divided by A Avenger, a cannon so large and so powerful that the aircraft was engineered around it. Most jets carry a gun. The A-10 is a gun. At the heart of the aircraft sits a 7-barrel rotary cannon, weighing nearly 4,000 pounds when fully loaded. The rotating cluster holds 7 barrels, each with its own chamber and bolt. Inside the cannon's core is a curved cam path that makes the entire firing cycle possible. As the barrels spin, each bolt cycles through loading, chambering, firing, and extraction in one continuous motion. This design allows a fire rate bordering on the unbelievable, up to 4,200 rounds per minute. To the human ear, the shots blur into one brutal sound. Brrr. That iconic growl happens because the rounds exit at over 3,000 feet per second faster than the speed of sound. The cannon is mounted slightly off-center, but the firing barrel sits exactly on the jet's central axis. At maximum rate, the GAU-8 creates 19,000 pounds of recoil, more than both engines produce together. Feeding the cannon is a huge drum carrying 1,174 rounds of 30mm ammunition. Each round is enormous, longer than an energy drink can, and designed for armored targets. The Warthog typically uses a 5-to-1 mix of armor-piercing incendiary tracer rounds to high explosive incendiaries. The A-pit rounds use depleted uranium, a metal that self-sharpens on impact, slicing deeper instead of flattening. When fragments ignite in contact with air, they can trigger secondary explosions inside armored structures. During Cold War trials, the GAU-8 destroyed 6 of 10 T-62 seconds, extraordinary results for a single aircraft gun. Instead of ejecting brass, the A-10 stores casings back in the drum, preventing balance issues. This also prevents the engines from ingesting metal debris, and the cannon is just one part of the A-10's firepower. The jet carries up to 16,000 pounds of weapons across 11 hardpoints. With modern targeting pods like the Lightning system, the Warthog can perform precision strikes with remarkable accuracy. But no matter how advanced its missiles become, the A-10's identity always returns to one place: its massive 7-barrel cannon. Combat is where the A-10 earned its reputation, not through speed or stealth, but through precision and survivability. One of the clearest examples came on April 6, 2003, during the Battle for Baghdad. Lieutenant Colonel Raymond T. Strasburger led a flight of A-10Cs into an engagement that would become a defining moment. A sandstorm dropped visibility to barely 1.5 miles right at the edge of what the Warthog can tolerate. Most aircraft would have turned back. The Warthog pushed forward. Below them, enemy armor was closing in on Task Force 2/69, defending a critical bridge near the Tigris River. Strasburger relied heavily on the A-10C's upgraded sensors and unmatched low-speed control. Protected by his 1,200-pound titanium cockpit armor, he maneuvered through enemy fire with remarkable calm. The A-10 isn't built to strike once and vanish. It's meant to stay, observe, and hit precisely where ground forces need it most. Flying under a ceiling of less than 1,000 feet, Strasburger lined up his targets. The Warthog's ability to pull tight turns at low altitude let him attack repeatedly from the same direction. Over the 33-minute engagement, the A-10 seconds used every advantage they had. Fuel-efficient engines gave them long loiter time above the battlefield. That bubble canopy gave exceptional downward visibility. The GAU-8 delivered precise fire even through the storm. Guided munitions filled the gaps where the cannon couldn't reach. By the end of the fight, the pair had disabled multiple armored threats. 3 T-72 tanks, 6 armored personnel carriers, and additional support vehicles. Their intervention helped secure the flank and complete the encirclement of Baghdad. Later, Lieutenant Colonel J.R. Sanderson described what the A-10 meant to ground troops. He said the F-15 seconds and F-16 seconds were good, but the A-10 seconds were absolutely fantastic. As long as that Warthog was overhead, soldiers felt untouchable. Comments like that are why the A-10 isn't just respected, it's beloved. It may look unconventional, even odd, but in battle, its presence brings confidence. Its sound brings hope. Its precision brings results. And on April 6, 2003, the Warthog proved exactly why it remains a legend. End of combat section. If the A-10's engines and wings keep it flying, then the cockpit is where the aircraft becomes a weapon. It's a space designed not for comfort, but for survival, awareness, and control under extreme pressure. The pilot sits alone beneath a wide bubble canopy that gives uninterrupted views in every direction. For close air support missions, where targets hide behind smoke, trees, or buildings, that visibility is priceless. But the defining feature isn't what the pilot sees, it's what protects them when everything else goes wrong. Encasing the pilot is a titanium structure weighing roughly 1,200 pounds known as the titanium bathtub. It's built to withstand hits from heavy projectiles, with armor thickness varying based on expected threat angles. Across decades of conflict, A-10 pilots have returned safely from damage that would cripple most other jets. The A-10C cockpit is dramatically more advanced than the original A-10 Amperes. The Precision Engagement upgrade introduced color multifunction displays and digital moving maps. It added advanced targeting controls, navigation systems, Link 16 data link, and satellite communications. Every button and switch is placed so the pilot can manage weapons in flight without losing awareness. The hands-on throttle and stick system blends elements from the F-16 and F-15. The throttle manages communications, countermeasures, and sensors. Together, they allow the pilot to stay hands-on through the entire mission, no searching, no hesitation. An integrated flight and fire control computer constantly updates ballistics, weapon trajectories, and stabilization. But unlike modern stealth jets, the A-10 never hides behind automation. The pilot remains fully in command, feeling the aircraft's weight and balance directly. The cockpit evolved across decades of real combat experience. Every switch exists because pilots found a reason to need it. In the A-10, the pilot does far more than fly, they observe, protect, strike, and adapt. Inside this armored cockpit, they have the confidence to fly lower and slower than almost any other aircraft. And yet, they fly more precisely than machines many times more advanced. The cockpit blends modern systems with rugged survivability. It's a workspace refined by thousands of hours of real missions. Every detail inside this cockpit represents lessons learned in the harshest environments. Here, the pilot becomes more than a flyer, they become a guardian for the troops below. Surrounded by titanium and reinforced glass, they trust the jet to bring them home. And because of that trust, the A-10 can go where most aircraft simply cannot. End of cockpit section. Starting up the A-10 isn't like waking a modern fly-by-wire fighter. There's ritual here, layers of checks and precise mechanical choreography. Before the Warthog ever moves, the pilot brings the cockpit to life. Everything begins with the battery and inverter switches. Once power flows, the pilot verifies engines, fire circuits, hydraulics, oxygen, and fuel systems. But the engines can't start yet. They need pressurized air, and that comes from a small but essential unit, the auxiliary power unit. Tucked deep in the fuselage, it spins up with a distinct whine. Once its generators stabilize, it provides the bleed air needed to start the turbofan engines. The first engine comes to life slow at first, then stabilizing at idle. Only then is the second engine started. When both engines are humming evenly, the APU shuts down. The pilot continues with control checks, communications, navigation, and targeting setup. Everything must be right. Low altitude precision demands complete reliability. As the A-10 begins to roll, its unusual nose-wheel behavior becomes clear. It turns tighter to the right than to the left, an odd mechanical quirk every pilot learns early. Once cleared to the runway, the aircraft lines up for departure. Takeoff begins with flaps set. Throttles advance to full power. Brakes release the Warthog surges ahead. At about 1,000 feet, the pilot checks RPM to ensure proper thrust. 10 knots before rotation, the pilot eases back on the stick. The nose rises to about 10 degrees. The A-10 lifts off with steady, unhurried confidence. The landing gear retracts as the climb continues. The pitch stays stable until the jet is well above stall margin. Only then are the flaps raised. And the climb begins. What's remarkable isn't speed, it's flexibility. It can launch from damaged runways, forward operating bases, even straight sections of highway. Its low-pressure tires and rugged landing gear make it incredibly versatile. The moment the wheels leave the ground, the A-10 is already in its element. Low altitude, steady climb, ready to slip into the battlefield and stay as long as needed. The A-10C Thunderbolt 2 was never built to be fast. It was built to be there to stay overhead, to watch over the battlefield, and to strike at the exact moment ground forces need support. Flight performance. In the air, the A-10 cruises at around 300 knots, 350 miles per hour. That's slow by modern fighter standards, but for close air support, speed isn't the advantage control is. The Warthog's huge straight wings give it exceptional low-speed stability, high lift for tight turns, a gentle stall, characteristic, perfect for low-altitude operations. It can pull up to 5.8 Gs even while carrying a heavy weapons load. Most jets struggle at low altitude, but the A-10 thrives there, weaving through valleys, smoke and terrain where other aircraft can't maneuver safely. Because of its efficient turbofan engines and massive internal fuel capacity, the A-10 can remain on station for nearly 2 hours without refueling loiter time that many modern fighters simply cannot match. For ground troops, that loiter capability is everything. It means the A-10 is not just an attacker, it's a guardian that stays overhead long after faster jets must return to base, operating close to the ground. The Warthog's design allows it to fly under 1,000-foot ceilings and maintain visibility in conditions that would force advanced fighter jets to abort their missions. It can operate effectively with as little as 1.5 miles of visibility, a huge advantage when weather turns against the battlefield. Even with heavy weapons, the A-10 responds smoothly to controls. Its enormous ailerons and hydraulically boosted, damage-tolerant flight surfaces give pilots precise handling even in turbulent or hostile environments. Combat radius varies with payload, but the A-10 can typically fly 250 nautical miles to a target area, engage multiple times, and return safely. Landing the Warthog. Where the A-10 truly stands apart is in how it returns home. Thanks to its rugged landing gear and low-pressure tires, the Warthog can land on surfaces that would severely damage more delicate fighters, damage runways, forward, airstrips, and even straight sections of road in emergencies. As the aircraft begins its approach, flaps are set to 20 degrees. Ailerons can be opened as deceleronds to act like air brakes. The aircraft descends at a steady, controlled rate. The large wing area keeps the A-10 stable, even at low landing speeds. And here's one of the most remarkable features. Even with the landing gear retracted, the A-10 can perform a survivable belly landing. Unlike most jets, parts of its main wheels remain exposed even when retracted, acting as natural skids to protect the fuselage. One pilot, Colonel Harry Iceman Keeling, successfully landed his A-10 with no nose gear at all, something nearly unthinkable in most aircraft. He maintained level flight at 160 knots, reduced speed to just above stall, and gently brought the nose down onto the runway at a shallow angle. The aircraft was repaired in about a week and returned to flight, another testament to the Warthog's durability. A jet built to come home. Whether fighting over desert, forest, or mountains, the A-10 returns again and again from missions that push aircraft and pilot to the limit. It doesn't rely on stealth, speed, or complex electronics. It relies on engineering, redundancy, and a design philosophy centered around survival. That's why pilots trust it, and that's why soldiers on the ground feel safer the moment they hear it circling overhead. The A-10C Thunderbolt II stands as one of the most successful purpose-built combat aircraft in modern history. Born during the Cold War and refined through decades of real conflict, the Warthog is a machine shaped by harsh lessons, pilot experience, and the demands of ground warfare. It was created to stop massed armored formations, to stay overhead when the weather turned bad, and to protect soldiers in the most dangerous situations imaginable. And in every conflict where it has flown, from the Gulf War to Iraq and Afghanistan, it has done exactly that. Every element of the design reflects a single purpose: the titanium armor to keep the pilot alive, the legendary Gear U-8 divided by A cannon to shred armored threats, the twin turbofans for long loiter time, the straight wings for low-speed control, the redundant systems that keep the aircraft flyable even after damage, and the rugged landing gear that lets it operate from places most jets wouldn't dare approach. It isn't fast, it isn't sleek, but speed and elegance were never the mission. The Warthog succeeds because it was engineered to endure, to strike with precision, and most importantly, to stay on station long enough to make a real difference for the people fighting on the ground. But as advanced air defense systems evolve, and as future conflicts shift toward higher speed, longer range engagements, the US has made the difficult decision to retire the 18 inches favor of the next generation of fighters, like the F-15EX Eagle II. Even so, the A-10's legacy is secure. It shaped modern close air support doctrine, saved countless lives, and built a reputation unmatched by any other aircraft in its role. It remains a symbol of reliability, toughness, and unwavering support, an aircraft that pilots respect and soldiers trust. If you'd like to explore another iconic machine like the MiG-21, one of the fastest and most widely deployed interceptors ever built, click the video on your screen. Thank you for watching. Breaking down a machine this complex is always a challenge, so if you notice anything we missed or want to add your own insight, feel free to leave a comment below.